So one day I was like extremely just distraught. I was really sad. Someone had really, really hurt me in a way that I'd never experienced. I was just like really down. And I was just like, I didn't know what to do. And then I felt inside and he was just like, go to the studio. And even the way I got linked up with that studio, because I didn't know any studios in my area, it was so random. Someone that I didn't even know created music. They're like, oh, you should come to the studio with me. And I was like, you sing? It was just so random. So I got in
Was
connection
it?
with that. Sorry?
Was it random?
Exactly, exactly. Turns out it wasn't. In the moment, it seems very random. So I got this connection with the studio guy, and then he was like, listen, I need you to come back whenever you want, just come back. And I was like, okay, cool. So it was my first time in the studio by myself. Um, and yeah, I went through that whole distraught time, and I think it was maybe about 2 weeks after I just went, or a week. And I was like, you know what, let me go to the studio. So I just went and I found some music that I liked, and I told the guy, he's like, so what are we doing today? And I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I just need to, I don't know. He's like, you know what? He's like, go in the booth, whatever comes out, we'll record it and call it a day. That's like cool. So I played some music that I liked, and I just wrote to the song and to the music. And in like 2 hours, we were done everything. We were done the full songwriting, mixing, mastering, everything. Like everything was done. Oh, and I was like, oh wow, okay, cool. And that was God Love. That was my first single. That was God Love. So I was like,
Hello and welcome to Holy Culture's Artist Spotlight. Today with me, I have Ariel Fitzpatrick. Ariel, how are you doing today?
I am good. How are you?
I am so excited. I've been a fan of yours for a minute, and so it's just like a
Thank
real
you.
full circle moment for me over here. So for the people who have been living under a rock and don't know who Ariel is, please tell us who you are and how you came to Christ.
My name is Ariel Fitzpatrick. I am born and raised in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Still live here. Um, I have always been a church baby. My parents were pastors, so I was born and raised in the church. So I was introduced to Jesus very early. But as we all know, just being introduced to him and going to church every Sunday doesn't necessarily mean that you know him. So for yeah, my whole childhood, it was all about Jesus, it was all about church. I always say I was in the church more than I was in my own house because that was just our life. That was my playground, everything. So when I got to about 12 years old, that's when I really started, being like, hey, who is Jesus for real? Like I know the stories, but I don't have this relationship with him that so many people talk about. So I just started, asking him, just praying and asking God questions like, who are you? And are you actually real? Like, I believe you're real, but like, I only believe because my parents told me. So I would say from the age of 12, that was really where my true journey started of getting to know Jesus, and it has grown from there. And now I'm nobody without Jesus. I'm nobody without God. He's in everything that I do. And that's how I got to where I am right now, creating content about that very life.
And how did the whole content creation start? Was that like a natural gifting for you that you liked kind of like the entertainment thing with being in the church all the time? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I've always loved, like, I remember like the first time I saw a camera, before there were phones and stuff, I just always was fascinated with the camera and video. I always loved doing skits in church. That's where like my introduction to skits was. Like every Christmas we would have the Christmas program and then we would have like skits, whether it was Christmas, Easter, whatever. So I've always loved media from the time I was introduced to it and creating skits and music. So it all happened in the church setting, all of it. And I was blessed enough to do all of it, like my parents allowed me to dabble in every area. So, getting older and trying to figure out what I want to do with my life, I always wanted to be a singer, but I had no idea how to make that happen. And it kind of stressed me out. So I was just like, you know what? Let me just do whatever I can. Let me just pull out whatever's inside of me. I believe music will work eventually. It's just, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how this works. And the music scene in Montreal is not very big. It's not like, in the US, it seems like it's a lot more clear how to do things. Here, it's not like that. It's kind of like you sing in church and then you pray for the best. So I kind of just got into, when I was in college, I was not happy with the program I was doing. So I was like, I'm going to get on social media. And I started creating content. First, I'll admit I started behind my parents' back because they didn't really, well, my dad didn't really want me on social media because it was such a new thing. And, it was kind of like evil. But with the years and just being on it, I started YouTube in 2016. Officially started posting on 2017, doing hair tutorials, a little bit of makeup. I got so bored of that. I was like, this is not what I want to do. Like hair and makeup is just not. I want to, show off my personality. And then, long story short, 2020 came, and obviously the world shut down. And then TikTok started getting more popular. And uh, first I was skeptical, but I was like, let me try this thing out. I prayed, I fasted. I was desperate. Let's just put it that way. I was desperate for a change. I was so desperate for a change. And I was like, I am going to try this TikTok thing, start brand new, not brand myself in hair. And I tried absolutely like whatever I could do. And then eventually I stumbled upon creating Christian content. It wasn't like on purpose, it just kind of happened. And I see now looking back, I'm like, oh, that was God answering my prayers because I asked him whatever I do on TikTok. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I wanted him to receive glory. And it's crazy how it just came right back to making videos about him. So,
Wild. So what was that? So what was that moment, that like viral moment? Because you have 3.2 million followers on TikTok and 1.2 million on IG. So what was that moment that you're like, oh my gosh, I have something in my hands? It was like a viral moment. It was one of your you and Angel and God skits, or what was that moment like for you?
it wasn't one specific moment. It was a build. It was like a build up of consistency. So, I always tell the story of how like I made a goal, and that was because again I was very desperate. I was very like it's all or nothing. Like it's either this is gonna work or nothing's gonna work. I'm done. So I made a goal of like I said the only way I would know God wants me to do this and that it's gonna work is I have to hit 100,000 followers in 1 month. Like that was my goal. If I did not hit the 100,000 followers in 1 month, I had no idea how to do it. But I was like, if it doesn't happen, I'm not doing this is not for me, and I quit. Like I'm done. So through consistency, I was like constantly posting videos. Like I was posting 3 to 4 times a day, every single day. And I stuck to it because I was researching TikTok and I was seeing like that's what people were saying to do. So I was just posting every single day. So obviously I started with zero. And then one day I got 5 views and I was so excited. And then I got 100 views. And then I started making the angel video. And that was the first time I saw 1,000 views. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I freaked out. I was like, 1,000 views, that's crazy. So I'm like, okay, that was really fun. And I like that it's God content. So I'm like, let me do that again. So it was really a build. And then eventually it just started growing. Like I don't think I had like this one viral moment that just went crazy. But yeah, through consistency, then I just kept creating the content and then back to back to back, it was growing more and more and more.
And
And then I
so
was like,
did
oh,
you?
that's
So
the thing.
so for a month you were doing three times a day posting, and so is
Yeah.
that like, how did you maintain your job? Like that's a lot of work because that's like filming,
Yeah.
editing, sound, music. Like I know it takes me forever just to do one video. Like how did
That's
you
the
how did you
thing.
maintain that balance of creating and working at the same time?
That's the thing. At this point, like when I tell you I was desperate, I wasn't working. Like I had just quit my job. I had quit my job and I had quit school. So like I was just trying to figure out this social media thing. So I was doing social media full time and also just trying so many different like business ventures in between. So it was all like YouTube and I was slowly transitioning into a new YouTube channel. So I was trying new kinds of content there. So it was very easy for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna just 100% focus on this. So I just dropped everything, and I was like, I'm going all in on this TikTok thing, and that was all my focus.
My goodness, talk about a leap of faith. That's like across the Grand Canyon leap.
Yeah,
Oh gosh, like talking about like rent and stuff. I would have been so stressed out. Bless your heart. So I think one of the things that makes you lovable is because we can so relate to the things that you say in your content. For example, like the I'm gonna find out for myself. that's like one of your taglines, right? Like we pray for things and then we kind of go off and do our own thing anyway.
Yeah.
So why did you decide to talk about love in that context? Because I feel like you could have talked about love and other things in any other kind of way. You could have been just a head video type girl, but you chose to have God and your angel sidekick walk you through this whole love thing. Why did you choose that?
It kind of just happened because the content that I create, I think what a lot of people didn't realize was like I wasn't thinking too hard about it. Like I was thinking about it, but it was more just I'm just gonna create whatever I can relate to. So
Mm.
this was just something that was extremely relatable to me. Like this is the way I do my day-to-day walk. This is how I have my conversations with God. So it's like it's just me kind of showing what's going on in my life and also mixing it with like stories I hear from others. Not every video I create is a reflection of my life, but it's just something that I can relate to. Like this is how I talk to God. This is how I deal with situations when I know God literally told me, don't do that. And I'm like literally having a conversation with him, like, you sure? Well, let me ask you this, Travis. Okay, like God, really? And like I know I have an angel that, in Matthew that it talks about how God has assigned to us like angel that, goes before his throne and talks to him about what's going on with us. So I'm like, well, I can only imagine how my angel's reaction to my action. So it's just me kind of pouring out my brain, like my thoughts into a video. So it's not like I sat down and I was like, this is the way I'm gonna do it because I believe that I didn't know if people were gonna relate to this. I just did it because it was just me. I'm just happy that people can relate to it.
No, it's awesome, and I think you are representing a relationship with God that I don't think most people would think of when they think Christian, right? Because
Hmm.
a lot of times maybe Christian has a moniker of being like stuffy or just very stiff, but our God is hilarious and He is the ultimate creator, and our relationships with Him are multidimensional, and I think that you just put that so beautifully. What do you think has been the hardest part about starting your career, but mostly like as a female or as a single female? Do you find that that has been a roadblock for you, or do you think your content creation set you pretty much like on a good path towards where you are now?
I think yeah, it definitely did set me on a good path to where I am now because that's all I wanted. Anytime anybody would ask me, they're like, "Hey, Ariel, what do you want?" Like, because I didn't want to do this schooling thing. I didn't want to do it. And my answer was always just, I want to be free. I always said I want to be free, and people could never understand what I meant when I said that. And they're like, "What do you mean?" Like, no, I understand everybody wants to be free, but what do you want? And I'm like, I want to be free. And to me, it was just I didn't fully understand it too. All I knew is that I wanted to be able to whatever was inside of me, I wanted to be able to like pour it out without restriction. I didn't want to be told because you're this or you're that or you're here, you live this, no, 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 no. You can't do this. I've always been a person that hate when people tell me what I can and cannot do. Like that since I was a kid, like don't tell me what I cannot do. If you want to see me do something, tell me I can't do it, and I'll figure out a way to do it without being too ridiculous. But so I've always just wanted that freedom, and I'm like, I'm a creative person. Yes, I like math and all that stuff, but I'm like, at the end of it, at the core of it, I want to create, and I want my life to be patterned in a way where my creativity allows me to live. Like I could live off of my creativity, where I don't feel boxed in. So that's why I held on to social media, or at least gravitated towards social media, because I just knew deep down inside, I didn't know how it was going to play out, but I knew that was my ticket out of the box. Like that was my ticket to freedom. I knew that social media is not like the end all and be all of everything, but I'm like, that's my ticket out. And when you see an open door, you don't just stare at it, like you walk through it. So I was like, well, I have a camera, I have a phone, I have internet connection, and that's all I need. Like, let me create these videos. I have no idea where it's going to take me, but I know it's going to take me to where I need to be. And I'm living it now, saying, yes, I made the right decision because making those little videos with my phone and my internet connection has brought me closer to that dream of just being free, like free to do whatever I want.
Yeah, it's a huge thing to work so that you can live versus live to work. You know,
Yeah,
there's,
yeah,
when you do what you love, it's not work. You're
yeah.
following your passion. What's been the biggest lesson that you've learned since you started this whole journey?
Um, the biggest lesson I've learned is to trust. It feels like the beginning of this journey, the middle of this journey, and I even believe to the end. It feels like this huge trust fall where I'm just going like, I'm just falling and trusting that God got me. It's really like understanding that that vision that I keep seeing, or that dream I keep having, or that thought that keeps poking at me. I need to do it. And I need to trust that God got me through it. Because a lot of times, like I would have this idea that's just bugging me, and I'm like, I can't see how on earth I can do it and still take care of my bills and still take care of my family and still, and I've learned now, even if God does not give me the instruction manual or the perfect layout of exactly how this is going to go, all right now He's going to do is give me the idea. Because if He tells me exactly how this is going to play out, then I don't have to have faith. And we know that without faith, it is impossible to please God. So I think I was watching this sermon, I think it was Miles Monroe, and he said something like that, and I needed to hear it because I was like, I have this idea, but God is not showing me how to do it. He's not telling me exactly how to do it, and that's why I can't do it. And then in that sermon, I'm paraphrasing, he's like, one thing he noticed about God that's so funny. He's like, God will give you the idea. He will give you the end vision, like the last picture, but he will not give you perfect directions of how to get there. And I was just like, okay, so that's the faith journey. That's the faith part. It's like he's showing me, because when I tell you I saw it and I wrote it, I have it in like a notebook somewhere. I knew I was gonna have a successful social media career. I didn't know what it meant. I just knew that I'm gonna be successful at this thing. But I could not, for the life of me, from 2016, I could not see how. But I had to, when I heard that message, I held on to it. It's like God gave you the image. I could see it. I just don't know the exact steps to take it. So he's like, just go for it. And I'm like, okay, fine. That's
Yeah,
the biggest lesson I've learned.
that's awesome. Tell us about, because I feel like a lot of, and I wouldn't even say younger people, I would say just people in general, get really anxious and impatient about the the timing of it all, right? And like, okay, I'm starting here and I know where I'm gonna end. I just don't know how long it's gonna take there, right?
Yeah.
I remember myself praying. I was like, God, I was like, I don't want to be old like Moses. I wanna know now what my purpose is, right? And so,
Yeah.
talk about dealing with being successful in God's timing instead of your own, or like having a timetable in your head versus what God
Mhm.
actually wants you to do, and how you deal with that in the process while you're building something.
Yes. So I noticed, and I even recently had to pull myself in again concerning this matter, but it happened from the beginning. First thing is a lot of people think that because I started on TikTok in 2020 and I experienced that growth in 1 month, that that was my story. That it was Ariel got on TikTok, she got on social media, and in 1 month, boom. So that has happened to me. What they don't know is this journey started in 2016. So that is 4 years it took. And those 4 years felt very, very long, but I learned so much. And I was being built up so much because what I didn't realize in those 4 years, it was building me up. Now, listen, if I see a negative comment, it does not faze me. If I just started in 2016, if I saw a negative comment, that would have like phased me, and it would have actually maybe made me stop doing what I'm doing. So I've learned that I cannot look at the timeline. And one thing, like I was mentioning before, that I had to rein myself in again recently is I had to stop looking at other people. Like, it's okay to be inspired. It's great, actually, to be inspired by others. It's others that actually made me want to get on social media because I saw it work for them. But oh my goodness, the worst thing you can do is start off on social media. For example, we're talking social media, and then see somebody else that started the same time as you, or see somebody else that started later than you. And you're like, oh my goodness, how are they so successful? How are they getting all these views? How are they getting all these sales? How are they getting all this whatever it is? Like I've been doing this for years and like they are all the way up there and I'm still down here. And that can like really trip you up because that can make you think that the timing is off. That can make you think that, oh, something's wrong, that maybe God doesn't want me in this, or maybe God just doesn't think I'm great at this, or and then you start asking yourself all these questions that is just simply not true. And the truth of the matter is, you have no idea what that other person is doing. Like you have no clue, and their timing is not necessarily like your timing. And I remember I learned that hard with YouTube. The reason why one of the reasons why I got so discouraged in it is because my sister and I, we started off our hair channel about a year before these two other girls who were kind of like sisters, same type of channel, and their channel like skyrocketed. And they were getting brand deals and they were getting all these things. And I'm like, I said, I'm like, God, like I'm doing, like I'm working hard. I'm posting more than them. I'm doing this. And I'm like, I'm happy for them. But I'm like, what is it? And then I started like nitpicking and trying to see all these reasons why it worked for them and why it wasn't working for me. Just when was it? Now we look fast forward to now. They made a video saying how like their channel completely stopped. You know, they have, you know, they got into arguments, whatever, and everything just kind of fell apart there. And they're no longer working in that area. You don't know about them on social media anymore. And now I'm actually here on social media and I'm still striving. So imagine if I had quit because I compared myself to them. So it's like I really learned it's not about what I think I should be, like how fast or how far I think I should be. It's really trusting God throughout the process, knowing that He's taking the exact amount of time to bake you because you don't want to come out premature and you're not ready for what's actually coming your way. So I realized, you know what? Even now, there's some things that I want right now, like I want it now, go now, and I'm not seeing it. And I'm like, you know what, God? I've learned throughout the years, I'm going to have it because I see the vision. I just have to trust you through the process and I'm going to get there.
Yes, and I think you said something very key was that God is building you up, right? He's baking you. And so we're all on different journeys, and things that you're struggling with may not be things that I struggle with. And maybe there's like, a vice that I have, or there's a talent that is hidden that it isn't going to be um, like evident unless God like bakes it out, or if I'm going through the forge and then at the end it'll come out. And so that's just encouragement for people out there who are in that waiting season. It's coming. Just bear with
Yes.
us. So I remember I saw a video, and I don't know when you posted it, but we were talking to God, and you were saying, God, I want to sing. I've always wanted to sing for you. And it was like, I want to say a couple months before you announced you had your deal. So can you tell us how that happened? Like how the Lord opened the doors for you to finally get the singing career that you wanted?
Yes. So, like, yeah, that video was me. Actually, that video was where I announced that I got signed.
Oh, okay, there you go.
And I was kind of just trying to pull people into the process of how this did not just happen overnight. It felt like it happened overnight, but it didn't. So, for years, again, I wanted to sing and I had absolutely no idea how to do it. Every time I wanted to do certain kind of music, it just never worked out, like ever. Oh, ever. And then one year, I think it was about 2022. So this is about a year after I started posting on Instagram. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to drop this singing thing. I'm going to just work on this social media part. And then when God tells me to start back the singing thing, I'm going to start it back. So I was fully geared on the social media, posting the 3 times a day, da 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 da. Then I transitioned to Instagram and I was like, I'm going to post every day on Instagram. And I did that for about a year. And then I actually kind of forgot about the singing thing because it was just easier to not think about it because I knew I always wanted to do it, but I just didn't want to go through the whole emotion of like, oh, it's not working type thing. No one's gonna want to hear it
Discouragement.
type thing. Yeah. So I was just like, you kind of just push it to the back, but you still want it. And then I started getting this nagging feeling, the same nagging feeling I got before going on TikTok. I noticed that's how God kind of works with me. Like I just get this feeling inside that makes me restless. Like it's just like a restless, uncomfortable feeling. And I'm like, what now? What do you want now? And I noticed that's like a signal of, okay, it's time for a change or a transition or an addition or whatever. So I was like, okay. And I just kept on getting these. However, I get it. It's just, I knew I needed to start writing back music. So I was like, okay, whatever. I have to start back writing. And I kept pushing it off. And then random people or people I know would just start randomly after it's just years of silence or months of silence, like, Ariel, you need to start back writing. You need to start back recording, even those things that you used to do. Like, why did you stop? Like, you need to start that back. And actually, it wasn't so much of a why did you stop? It was a more of a it's time to start back type thing. So after I think about like maybe the fourth or fifth confirmation in like just all kinds of ways, including like what I felt inside of me, I was like, all right, I need to do this. So one day I was like extremely just distraught. I was really sad. Someone had really, really hurt me in a way that I've never experienced. I was just like really down. And I was just like, I didn't know what to do. And then I felt inside of me was just like, go to the studio. And even the way I got linked up with that studio, because I didn't know any studios in my area, it was so random. Someone that I didn't even know created music. They're like, oh, just come to the studio with me. And I was like, you sing? It was just so random. So I got in
Was
connection with
it?
that. Sorry?
Was it random?
Exactly. Exactly. Turns out it wasn't. In the moment, it seems very random. So I got this connection with the studio guy, and then he was like, listen, I need you to come back whenever you want, just come back. And I was like, okay, cool. So it was my first time in a studio by myself. Um, and yeah, I went through that whole distraught time, and I think it was maybe about 2 weeks after I just went, or a week. And I was like, you know what, let me go to the studio. So I just went and I found some music that I liked, and I told the guy, he's like, so what are we doing today? And I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I just need to, I don't know. He's like, you know what? He's like, go in the booth, whatever comes out, we'll record it and call it a day. That's that cool. So I played some music that I liked, and I just wrote to the song and to the music. And in like 2 hours, we were done everything. We were done with full songwriting, mixing, mastering, everything. Like everything was done. Oh, and I was like, oh wow, okay, cool. And that was God Love. That was my first single. That was God Love. So I was like, I felt so good. I was like, oh, I felt really therapeutic. And I played the song. He sent it to me the same night. He's like, here's the final version. And I played it back and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I just left it at that. I didn't do nothing with it.
I just did this beautiful thing. I'm just gonna put it on the shelf over here.
Exactly. I just left it there. I'm like, oh, this sounds like it would be a really great song. I was like, oh, no, this feels good. And then I gassed myself up and then I put it on the shelf. And I just kind of like, I would think about it here and there, but I didn't know what to do with it. I sincerely did not know what to do with it. And then I got in contact with my current manager, who's Henry Braxton, and he was trying to get on to me for over a year. And I did not get his message. And again, the way we connected, it wasn't make sense. It was so random. Again, random. It was like in a passing conversation, he found out who someone else that I worked with who does not live in the same state as him or anything. I'm in a different country. It was just crazy. Everything just worked out. So long story short, someone that I knew, like our mutual friend, put us in contact, and we were purely talking about Instagram, not Instagram, social media stuff. He was purely offering to help me with social media things. And then, in our conversation, he kind of just gave a little backstory of who he was and what he did. And he mentioned that he used to work in the music, with artists and stuff. But it was just a passing thing. So I was like, okay, cool. So we're moving forward to work with literally like social media stuff, like brands, doing commercials, stuff like that, ads. And then I had a thought. I'm like, he didn't mention something about music. Let me just send him this song. Yeah. So I sent him the song "God Love," and he didn't really like respond too quickly. So I was like, okay, it's probably trash, whatever. And then I moved on. And then he messaged me. He's like, okay. He's like, give me a sec or something like that. And I was like, okay, it's probably whatever. And then he messaged me back, I think like a day or two later, and he's like, I've been playing this song for a few people, and he's like, they all love it. And he's like, they're actually very impressed with it. And then from there, he's like, you know what? He's like, I know someone who knows somebody. Let's get this ball rolling. And long story short, very quickly, I got signed to Motown Gospel / Capital CMG, and I was just like, with a good deal. And I was like, oh, well, look at that. Now we're on. Now we're just that's like even in like now. Sometimes they talk to me and they're like, Ariel, like you realize this, and I'm like, actually no. My brain is still kind of computing. I'm still
Process.
processing what's happening. So I'm like, I'm trying to get into artist mode, and I'm like, wait, like what? Okay, so we need to do this. We need to do this. We have to have this. We have to have that. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is actually happening. So yeah, it just felt like it happened overnight, but it was really a long time of prayer and trusting God and working and pulling out whatever He had for me. And I love the way it happened. I actually prefer that it happened this way because I feel like if I started music, I wouldn't have ended up doing the content that I do. So now I get to do both. And I'm very happy with it. And I'm happy to see where it keeps going because I know this is just the beginning.
That's beautiful. So you actually really enjoy doing the content thing because if you
Yeah.
said that you like doing both, that says a lot because you wanted your singing for such a long time. And I remember the first time that you let your fans hear your voice, I was like, oh, she can sing. That's beautiful. So that wow, that speaks volumes. And I was scrolling through and I saw that you had through your YouTube, and I saw that like you did like a short film, and then the other day you were talking about God giving you a special thing with a T-shirt. So you have like all of these things happening uh, within your life. I feel like you're multi-talented, you have all these creative outlets. What's in store for you? Do you have a vision for what the next 5 years looks like, or you're just kind of going where God sends you? Like what's next for Ariel Fitzpatrick?
Yeah, so I mean, as always, I don't know exactly what the steps are going to look like. I don't know exactly what path God is going to take me down, but I do have a vision for my life. And I do believe that God's intention for me is even bigger than that vision that I have. There's so much that I want to do. There's so much that I want to accomplish. There's so much that is on my heart that I desire that's, even more personal. And I'm like at a stage where I'm like, listen, God, I do believe it's important to plan. I do plan, but I plan a little less than I used to. Now I have more of a bigger picture type thing. So I'm like, okay, here's the big picture. God, just take me to it. That's the type of thing. So right now, I'm kind of just resting in Him. I don't know, like I just been kind of saying that recently. There's so much going on. And I know the devil's mad. Oh my goodness, I know the devil's mad. So I'm just like, I'm really like, God, I'm resting in you. Whatever comes my way, I'm choosing not to worry. I'm choosing to stay calm, and I know what I desire. I know what I desire with music. I know what I desire even with acting. I know what I desire with business and personal goals. And I'm like, I just keep on bringing it to Him. And I'm like, what I know you're going to accomplish is because you're showing me that I have the vision in my head. Just like with this TikTok, this social media thing, I saw this. I saw it clearly. It didn't make sense, but I saw it and I'm living it now. So I know these next things I'm seeing, I'm going to get there. So I'm just what, Lord, please give me wisdom and please give me discernment to see like to decipher between what is actually taking me there and what's a distraction. Like I'm just walking very cautiously. I'm excited, but I'm still being very like cautious of, we do have an enemy. The devil is out to get every single one of us. He doesn't want us to succeed. So I'm like, God, just keep me close to you. So that way, even in my planning, that I'm like still on the right path. 'Cause at the end of the day, I just want to do what He wants me to do. That's it, you know?
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think Jackie Hill Perry said it perfectly when she said, "If God doesn't want it, I want nothing to do with it."
Literally, literally, I'm like, for real, I'm like, God, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it looks like the biggest, brightest, shiniest diamond. If you don't want it from me, I could care less. I could say I have no problem saying no to anything once you just make clear to me that you don't want me to have it. Because it's just, after all I've been through in my life, I'm like, listen, I don't have time for no, got time for no mess. I just want Jesus. That's all. I just want His purpose for my life, and I'll be content.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so in the last couple of minutes that we have, tell us about your latest single. Now that we brought your fans all the way up to date to your current musical career, what is your latest project about? What inspired it, and where can we find it?
Yes, so my latest project is my first EP. It's actually a Christmas EP, so it's a mixture of some Christmas songs and some, I guess, all seasons songs. And it's just an accumulation of like different songs that I wrote throughout the summer. Well, actually, one of them I wrote since last year, but most of them are from the summer. And it's really just right now I'm in a zone where I'm just enjoying this creation, this creative part of me. God has finally allowed me to be able to create music without restriction, without, without this grim of, oh, no one's gonna hear it. You know, I'm finally in that space. So all these songs I'm creating, I'm getting to work with people that I'm very honored to work with. I'm getting to write. I'm getting to feed off of different producers, different writers. And right now I'm in that same, I like to say like I'm in the same stage as how I just started with TikTok, where I'm kind of just pulling out whatever's inside of me. And then eventually I'm gonna catch something. I'm like, that's it. And then I'm gonna keep going in that direction. I know at the end of the day, whatever I'm pulling out, it has to all go to the honor and glory of God. So there's songs about love, there's songs about serious topics like addiction, there's songs about Jesus' birth, there's songs about, all for the glory of God. But whatever is inside of me, I'm pulling it out. I'm making sure that, like my friend said, I die empty. Like I don't want to die with anything that God had intended for me to pull out still in me. So I'm pulling it out. And yeah, I'm doing that. That's what really happened with this EP. I got to work with artists like One Take You and like TZ, artists that I've been listening to. So it was really cool and getting to experiment with different sounds. And I'm going to continue doing that. I'm going to continue to, I really wanted something out before the end of the year. So I'm glad that that happened. And then moving into the next year, I'm just going to take it up to another level.
So your latest project is out now, and if you haven't caught up with Ariel's music or any of her content, head over to her YouTube, her Instagram, her TikTok. They're all hilarious, fantastic. Everything is out now on all streaming platforms. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. It was absolutely a pleasure getting to
Thank
hear all your
you.
backstory, and I just wish you the most amazing luck.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye bye.